Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
You know what to do. More /k/ and less /x/ if you please. Here's something to start. I saw an Anza Borrego ghost light a few months ago. It's not the spookiest of stories, but it's true. Hiking with friends to the Goat Canyon Trestle. The hike itself follows 100-year-old railroad tracks down a gorge, leading from the mountains at the top to the desert floor below over about 20 miles. Lots of abandoned train cars, cool tunnels, and sketchy railroad trestles to cross. The hike is technically trespassing because some company claims that it's going to get the railroad running again. Nobody gives a damn because several companies have tried and all have failed thanks to inhospitable geology and weather. It's usually a pretty popular hike, but we went on a weekday, so we were the only ones out there. First few miles are spent enjoying the scenery and getting enough courage to cross janky old trestles. Explore around in some old double-decker train cars covered in surprisingly good graffiti. GTFO the train cars because the dust in there is pure nose hell. Continue on, see no other people. Go through a few railroad tunnels. They're supported by huge redwood beams which make the tunnels smell calming. Have a pleasant walk through them by the light of a single good flashlight and 2 cheap ones. Get to the longest tunnel on the line. Research says about half a mile or so. It has big rusty gates at the entrance and a bunch of old railroad junk around. A very horror movie looking in the right light. It was noon, so the spook factor was low. Tunnel curves so you can't see the other end for the first bit. Walking along when we see a light appear down towards the other end of the tunnel. Much like someone turning a flashlight on for a second, then off again. Figure it's another group of hikers. Flash the bright light at them. No response. Think whatever and keep walking. Light flashes again. We're getting closer to the end of the tunnel. There's light shining in at the end, but the flash came from a dark area. Don't see any people silhouetted against the light at the end of the tunnel. May have just been nerves, but we felt like we were being watched. Start hallucinating voices almost at the edge of hearing. Also likely nerves. Light flashes randomly one more time, then stops. Pretty spooked, but we're relatively skeptical folks, and continued all the way to the end of the tunnel. Not a soul in sight. The trail is bordered by a very steep cliff to the right, and Carrizo Gorge to the left. Trail is visible for a long way ahead. It's extremely unlikely that there were other hikers that ran off. Try to explain the light as reflection, and cannot find anything reflective anywhere. Remember stories of the Borrego ghost lights. A train conductor in 1977 saw a similar light flash on the tracks at night and ended up derailing a train. People have followed the lights into caves where they have seriously injured themselves. Get moderately spooked and continue on. No more lights, just a feeling of unease. Forget all that when we cross the 200-foot-tall Goat Canyon Trestle and about crap ourselves. See nobody else on the trip aside from a group of Boy Scouts starting to hike into camp on our way out. Guess we believe in ghosts now. If you're ever in San Diego County and want a sweet and pretty easy hike with confirmed spook factor, check out the Goat Canyon Trestle. Aside from having cool scenery and weird lights, you get to see a lot of cool engineering, neat abandoned train cars, loads of history, and the tallest curved wooden railroad trestle in the world. Some sources claim it is the tallest surviving wooden railroad trestle overall. Pick-related is the big trestle itself.
If you've ever talked to someone who served in the military, then you know that we all have a story or 50 to tell. You will also know that military members can relate to just about every story told to us in some way or another, either from personal experience or by proxy, a friend's, cousin's, brother's, in-law's story. Throughout the military, there are a lot of different stories dealing with ghosts and the paranormal. This is mine. I was stationed at an Air Force base in Nevada from early 2001 to mid-2004. The base was known for a lot of different things, but one of the claims to fame that I was always intrigued by were the underground tunnels that used to be there. The tunnels served as a means to get live ordnance, bombs, rockets, ammunition for aircraft, to the jets discreetly during wartime. I'm not sure when, but long before I arrived, the tunnel access points were cemented over. The 3 half bunkers still stood at 3 different points of the Lola, live ordnance loading area, left, right, and center. The bunkers were covered in a natural camouflage of desert sand and plant life. They weren't so steep that you couldn't walk over the top of them. In fact, we did that from time to time to play a prank or two on whoever decided to park on the inside. I call these half bunkers because they weren't totally enclosed. Basically, there wasn't a front wall. The bunkers were wide enough to fit 2 full-size pickup trucks and maybe a full-size sedan inside, just a tad on the tight squeeze side of things. I had always been told the tragic story of the woman who committed self-termination in the center bunker. She had just returned from Iraq during the first Operation Desert Storm to find that her husband had been having an affair and was filing for a divorce and sole custody of their children. No one knows the details, but she was found one morning in her truck, parked in the center bunker, her rifle on burst. The center bunker is where I had my experience and gained my story to tell. I was posted at the Lola one night, and I remember being upset by it because there wasn't anything to guard there, so I didn't see the point. The bunkers were empty. No aircraft on the flight line, just my partner, myself, and the coyotes that roamed around and begged us for food, which we would always give if we had any. My partner was driving and decided to back into the center bunker. We were both smokers at the time, so that meant that a half carton was gone by the end of our 12-hour shift under normal circumstances. We were sitting in the bed of the truck telling jokes and giving each other what-if scenarios, which always got ridiculously humorous, outlandish responses. We were just coming off of our laughter when I heard what sounded like soft, creeping footsteps. Thinking that the area supervisor was trying to sneak up on us, I crept slowly out of the bunker and up the side to find nothing around the bunker. No sign of a vehicle anywhere or any person. I called for my night vision and my partner tossed it up to me. I took a look around and found nothing. I shrugged it off as my mind was playing tricks on me and went back to the truck. Not 5 minutes later, I heard the same soft footsteps, but this time they sounded like they were in the bunker. My partner was hearing them now too and tried to play it off as the coyotes coming to beg. I told him that no, these were too slow to be coyote steps. Then they got a little louder, sounding as if someone were grinding their heel into the grit of the cement floor as they stepped. It seemed like they may have been circling the truck. My partner got nervous and decided he wanted to leave. Admittedly, I wasn't too comfortable either, so I obliged and got in. He went to start the truck, but it wouldn't start. I thought for sure he had left the headlights on, but he checked and the knob was off. The sounds of footsteps got louder, then nothing, dead silence. The truck roared to life, and for me, that is when the strangest things happened. When the truck started, the headlights, windshield wipers, and hazard lights were all on, but none of the switches or knobs were in the on position. The radio was not on the station that we were listening to. It was on a dead station, all static, and for lack of a better term, and to not be confusing, walkie-talkie squelched like it did when I switched to a dead frequency, but the knob was on the normal one to speak to the dispatch desk. Now I know what you're thinking. When I was on top of the bunker looking around, my partner turned these things on. Not true. I could see that the knobs were off. Besides that, to change the station, he would have had to at least turn the power to the truck on, and this particular truck made a loud buzz for about 2 seconds when the power was turned on, so I would have heard that. As we drove out of the bunker, I remember seeing a light wisp of what could be misconstrued as smoke, exhaust, or dust, but it was just in front of the truck, right in the center. For the rest of the time I was stationed there, my partner would never accept being posted at the Lola. He always found someone to trade with, and he never gave the reason why. I told the story to a couple of closer friends who feigned believing, but I could tell they were skeptical. About 4 months before I was discharged, one of the skeptics had an experience at the Lola. He would only tell his story to a point, the trail off saying, "I don't want to talk about the rest." I found out a couple of years ago why. Apparently he saw a figure in front of his vehicle, and all he would say is that her face was covered in blood. He never gave any further description. Say what you will about this story, but I know what I experienced. I also know that my partner was scared of the Lola. and that my friend the skeptic also refused to be posted at the Lola.
I got a spoopy in a boat story, off Miami Beach, mid-90s. 6 of us, me, my parents, some uncles and aunts, packed into a 25-foot aqua sport. We're heading out deep to go dolphin fishing. No, not that kind of dolphin, the mahi-mahi. We got the radio playing, passing some beer around, and my aunt is recording on her camcorder. Can't see the shore anymore. We slow down and start looking for some fish, spot a school and start casting. We're pulling them in as fast as we can get a line in. Bottom of the boat is just covered in fish blood. It's glorious. The school suddenly pulls away. We putter around trying to find them again. We got at least 8 good-sized ones, so we toss them into an ice chest and are going to just do some other things the rest of the day, head back in and do some reef diving maybe. Suddenly it's like the sun went from directly above us to just above the horizon in seconds. The song on the radio suddenly switches to another. The boat fuel tank went from being mostly full to almost empty. We turn the boat in and head for shore as fast as we can. No one knows what the hell happened. The best response is that we were having such a good time that we didn't notice how late it got. Yeah, sure, that must be it. Aunt with the camcorder mentions that she's out of tape. We ran out of gas with the shore in sight and the sun going down. We resort to setting the bimini top down as a sail and hoping for the best and firing a flare. A group in a ski boat thankfully gives us a tow to a fuel dock where we get enough to get us back to our dock. We pay them with one of the bigger fish. Notice all the ice is melted. Head in and everything else goes as expected. So we've got the boat home and we're all cleaning up. One of my aunts and uncles heads off with their fish. My other aunt with the camcorder wants to see what she's got on tape. A few of us go in to watch on our VCR. Right at the time things got weird, the camcorder loses video. But it still has sound. We all suddenly went dead silent. We can still hear both the radio and the engines idling. For 4 hours before the tape ends. No one talks about what happened that day and just laugh it off as a crazy day. My best guess, either we got probed by aliens or we experienced some time warp screwery in the Bermuda Triangle.
It was summertime and I am sent to spend time with my grandparents on their farm. When I get there, everything is fine, maybe even a little boring. I spend my time shoveling horse crap and moving hay while catching up with my grandpa. That night I went in for supper with my granddad and we continued to catch up and play a few board games. That evening they had me go to the guest cottage out back and said that's where I will be sleeping. I hesitantly accept this despite the whole idea of being so far away from them scaring the crap out of me. When I go there and am unpacking the rest of my things, I get a knock on the door and a blonde-haired freckled kid my age asks if I want to go hang out and play outside. I tell him it's too late and my grandparents will be mad, but he says they already said it's okay. For whatever reason, I trusted this boy and went outside with a flashlight and my jacket. We start trekking off towards a big field, me following him towards where I thought was wherever he lives, and I begin asking him questions and trying to make small talk. As we get closer, he stops talking and just keeps telling me we are almost at his home. I have a sudden realization that it's getting darker, and that we are also seemingly not headed towards any other house or farm, but rather a large wooded area in the distance. I also am getting creeped out by this kid's seemingly scripted responses to my questions about what exactly we are going to be doing at his house. I get nervous and tell him I have to go, and he looks at me angrily, and I just tell him sorry and run off. He stares at me the whole time and I run as fast as I can back to my tiny guest cottage. I hoped my grandparents didn't notice I was gone and then lock my door and jump into bed. I spent most of the night awake thinking of this strange kid and what just happened, but it didn't freak me out so much that I didn't fall asleep. When I woke for breakfast the next morning, another family whose young mother was crying was sitting at our table, and my grandma came over and hugged me and told me to sit down. The young mom told them that her son was missing for the last few days, and that she had gone to all the farms and homes in the area. She shows my grandparents a photo, and then to me after it has passed around. It was the same kid I met last night and I go pale. And I end up having told them all the whole story, how this boy wanted to hang out, and tried to get me to come over to his house the other night. They asked me which way we walked, and I pointed off towards the large wooded area. Later that night, a huge search party went out looking for the boy. I stayed home with my grandma, and much later that night, my grandpa came in telling us he found the boy. He was dead, having been seemingly mauled by some animal or something, and was found rotten in the woods. They kept asking me if I was sure I saw him, and it was the same boy, and I said, yes, it was. They both seemed worried, and they had me sleeping inside the main house that night. The next evening I was dropped off and flew back home feeling creeped the hell out. A few weeks later I was called by my grandpa, and he told me the boy was strangled to death and had been dead for at least 48 hours prior to when I said I saw him. Everyone was really spooked out in their area, and that all the kids were being kept inside for fear of some killer psycho. But my grandma thought it was a changeling, and told me about a similar story when she was growing up. I couldn't help but agree with my grandma, and still to this day I know that was what I had to have seen.
Summer 2007, right after high school graduation. Decide to go hiking in a woods, in the mountains a little southeast of Hazard, Kentucky. Coal country. Get dropped off at railroad crossing by cousin. Have SKS, M, and P40, bedroll and my pack. Some food and first aid. Walk the tracks a couple miles, then find an old access road. Access road winds up the mountain, then stops in a landing. Landing has a couple buildings and some old equipment. Explore the building. Find some old mining tools and personal effects of the miners. Found mine entrance. It had been collapsed and boarded up. Getting dark, decide to make camp. Cook some food, eat, and try to go to sleep. Sleep what feels like an eternity. Awake to a loud bang. My dad worked the mines when I was little, so when I say bang, I mean dynamite. Jump up faster than I've ever moved in my life. Check the watch. I was only out for 20 minutes. Grab SKS and flashlight. Sweep the area, scared shitless. Everything is quiet, no bugs, nothing. All of a sudden hear faint metal on rock sound. WTF.jpeg.calm down a tad. Get up and try to locate sound. Leads me to mine entrance. Hear faint clack clack on the other side of collapse. Then hear a loud clack down the hill away. Follow noise. Find an old ventilation shaft with a few boards across it. Hear clack clack clack. See a light in the shaft. Against my better judgment I move the boards and venture in. Walk about 100 feet in and round a bend. Standing maybe 15 feet from me is a miner picking away at the wall. I just stood there shocked. This mine has been closed for almost 50 years. He picks at the wall again, hard, then just vanishes through the hole in the floor. All of a sudden scream followed by a thud. Nope, out of there, down the access road and back down the track. Run a total of 5 miles before I reach a road. Hitch a ride and stay at a diner till morning. I'm not good at stories, but my guess is that a miner fell through the floor when the mine was open and now relives his death at that old place.
I've got myself a story. It's long and I'm too lazy to control V, so here we go. Be me several years back. Be studying business at public college, hating life. Depressed, no friends at a party school, failing some classes. No job, no guns except an Izhevsk nugget. Lose the last close relative to an 18-wheeler. Decide I've had about enough. Grab nugget, couple boxes of Tulamo, winter clothes, camping supplies, 3 days food plan on literally wandering off into the St. Joe National Forest to die. Pick related, stolen from the internet because I didn't take a camera with me. Didn't want to waste a camera. Mid-December, so snowy as F. Stop at Walmart, buy another box of Tula and a few packs of Newports. See poster hung up near the pisser in the Wally World. A cutie pie recently gone missing. Stare at a picture for a while. Think lonely thoughts. Face burned into memory. Piss, leave Wally World, still thinking about QT and how I'll never have had one of my own. Drive out to Idaho. Arrive at your destination. Step out of the car into the cold. Still remember the feeling it gave me. The crunch of the snow underneath my cheap garbage boots. Unpack my stuff, ditch the car, leave it unlocked for once. Start walking, light me up a cigarette, lose sight of the car. Hike for hours, probably in circles. Couple hours in, veer off the trail and just hike through the woods. Really drinking in the beauty of it all. Such a haunting and desolate place. Start running low on cigarettes. Start to get the feeling that I shouldn't be there. A twinge of fear. Ignored it, I was out there to die anyhow. Begin to feel like I'm being followed, hearing branches break behind me every so often. Assume it's just snowfall weighing down branches until they drop. Hell, that may have been it, but I doubt it. Run out of cigarettes shortly before sundown. Say fucking hell, in an audible, almost loud voice. Almost felt guilty for breaking the silence, that sort of feeling you'd get if you cursed in front of your grandmother. Set up an empty water bottle, fired some rounds at it from 50 yards with the Mosin. The echoes rang and rang. Maximum E because I didn't have the forethought to bring ear pro on my final trip. Pull out a single round, tuck it into my boot for shooting myself later if I so chose. Took the backpack off to do the shooting, went to grab it and noticed movement in the trees, maybe 100 yards away. It was big, whatever it was. Real big. Always had poor eyesight, that's why the Navy wouldn't take me. Figured it was just a blurry-ass elk. Was standing there staring at it, wondering if there were elk in this part of the world or not. Started to get a funny feeling. Moving slowly, terribly slowly, I went to chamber around in the Mosin. Bolt got stuck for some reason. Looked down to see what the problem was. Looked up. It was gone. It was just an elk anon calm down.jpg. Well, the worst it can do is kill me, right? That's why I'm here, right? Right? Start making camp, quickly forget about it. Getting a fire set up and finding wood is difficult. Get frustrated, have a hissy fit and throw a piece of wood at a tree. Scream fuck you at a tree. Calm down. Make camp all the way. Mow down on MRE at about sundown. Why does this taste like blood? Because the air smells like blood. And copper. And decay. The hell? I've read about this .jpg. Relax, Anon, it's nothing. Hear a distorted fuck you come from the trees. Leap to my feet, loaded Mosin in hand. Spinning around and around, scanning the trees. Hear the branch break at my 9 o'clock. Train rifle on my 9 o'clock. Hold it still. Fine dusting of snow starts to accumulate on the rifle. After about an hour, relax. Tuck self into my sleeping bag. No tent because I forgot one. Idiot. Fold the sleeping bag over myself without zipping it. Sleep with my rifle in my hands, ready to go. Fall asleep with almost my entire body stuffed into sleeping bag. Awoken by a foul smell, same as before but more so. Notice the fire is out. Check watch. I'd slept for 2 hours or so. Feel weight on ankles. Look down at my ankles. My pack is resting on my ankles. I didn't put that there. Realize there's a tree that shouldn't be there right at the foot of my sleeping bag. Realize it's not a tree. It moves a little. Swear I can almost hear it breathe. Taller than a person for sure and thicker. Was able to make out the arms, long with claws, hanging loose by its sides. Heart starts pounding until that's all I can hear. Consider for a split second putting the Mosin barrel into my mouth and trying to end it all before it gets me. Adrenaline takes over. Slept with the Mosin in my hands ready to go. Use Mosin to flip an unzipped sleeping bag off of me. Aim at the figure and fire around. Blinded, deafened. Leap to my feet, swinging the Mosin in front of me like a club and screaming. Regain vision. Panickedly scan the trees. It's gone. Maybe it's hiding behind a tree just out of view. I'm scared. I'll kill you. Fuck off, I'll kill you, I will. Said it louder. Fuck off, I'll kill you. Somebody replies, distant but clear. Hello? Followed by, are you okay? Replied, who the hell are you? What do you want? The message came back, Jim, are you alright? Talked with it some more, all the while nervously scanning the perimeter. Couple other voices chimed in from the same direction, told them I nearly got eaten by a bear. They fired off an orange flare. Realized they were close, just down a hill. Pretty sure I passed through the clearing they set up in shortly before making camp. Can you come to us? What if I get ambushed? I'll come to you, I have a gun, don't shoot me, okay? Deal, please hurry. Seemed like it took forever for homie to show up. We played Marco Polo until he got to me. Had a stainless steel .357 and a flashlight. Introduced himself as Jim, a nice enough guy. Asked me if I was injured. Led me back to his camp. Spoke to me quietly on the way. We've had bear troubles ourselves. Even quieter. Ain't no bear, man. You agree? Replied, couldn't agree more. The others still think we just ran into a bear in the woods and are pretty calm. Try not to spook them. Half of them are shit-faced. Roger that. Ask, how many people do you have with you? 6 others. We arrived. Their camp was in relative disarray. Coolers and a couple tents scattered around a low fire. Beer cans everywhere, trash everywhere. Drunk buck-toothed dude stumbles up to me, asks me where the bathroom is. This is a low-budget horror movie and we're all gonna die out of 10. Only other gun besides my Nugget and homebody Jim's .357 is a .22. Unless you count the flare gun. Jim and the kid with the .22 who introduced himself as Travis, convinced their inebriated friends to stop drinking in case bears, guys. Jim systematically introduces me to everybody. Buckteeth from earlier has stumbled into a tent and passed out, as has one girl. Shake hands and exchange names with everyone else. Something is off. Run some numbers in my head. 7 people total, 2 asleep in tents. Why are there 6 people out here? Jim rushes off to work on the fire and goes to say hello to the last person, a girl. Ignores and stares at me. It's kinda dark, but I swear the face looks familiar. Something moves in my left peripheral vision. It's stainless steel. It's the barrel of Jim's revolver. He's pointing it at the person I'm trying to talk to, slowly moving closer. Her face is just expressionless. Get the feeling I know her, then instantly realize I do. It's the face from the missing person poster at Walmart. Homie starts to say something to the effect of, "Who the hell are you?" It wheels around, it dead sprints into the tree line, gone in an instant. People who saw it start yelling, "Who was that? What the hell?" The smell hits. Check the Mosin, it's loaded. We form a perimeter. Armed expeditions go to the tree line, panikedly gather wood, build a large fire. Everyone who isn't passed out drunk is clutching something. The .22, the flare gun, machetes, a hatchet, regular knives. Nobody says a word. Hear branches breaking off in one direction. More breaking, same direction. Smell gets fouler. Wish I had my cigarettes. Girl with the flare gun sees something. Fires a flare into the trees. Curse her stupidity under breath. See silhouette 15 or so feet from the flare, illuminated. Fire around at it. Hits a tree, the thing bolts. People see it bolt, hear it bolt. It doesn't run away from the campsite, just kind of adjacent to it. Branches break and people see things move for another hour. A kid with a .22 starts firing rounds almost constantly at different stuff. Is scolded for wasting ammo. Continues. Jim grabs and shakes him, tells him to knock it off. Realize they look so much alike because they are brothers. As the melodrama unfolds, hear a loud noise behind me. Wheel around, fire a shot at the blur moving towards camp at lightning pace. Got a blurry firelight look at the thing as it sprinted right through camp, grabbed a dude and tried to haul him off into the woods. A guy had a machete, hacked at it and it let him go. Was curled in a ball screaming, dragged him back to the fire, calmed him down. The thing was big. It ran with a funny ass gait, but it was fast. Furry thing, big oversized feet. Antlers, swear it had antlers. Jim, you okay? You see those claws, man? It circles more. All of us, myself included, panic shoot into the trees, all running low on ammo. Still only 3 a.m., fire burning low. It starts talking to us, parroting back things we've said. Jim, you okay? Running out of .357, guys. I almost hit it that time. Couple people start crying, start to lose it myself. The thing charges again right at me, scream and sprint right at it, bury a bayonet in its chest and pull the trigger, swipes at me with a claw, goes just over my head. Reels, pulls back, darts back into the tree line, chased it. Gun raised over my head, screaming. Got into trees and saw it crouching there 6 feet from me. It was dark, but I saw it. Looked into its eyes and lost it. Lost every bit of courage I had. Stood there stiff, waiting for it to kill me. TFW, hopeless prey in front of an apex predator. Couple people grabbed me by the shoulders and dragged me back to the fire. They didn't see it. It was right there. Only 3 rounds left now. Used snow to clean black steaming blood off of the bayonet. Camp was still circled, but less so, and the thing didn't parrot us anymore, just wheezed. Loud, terrible, awful wheezes. Shrieked some too. Sun finally started to come up. Most beautiful sunset I've ever seen, I swear. They haphazardly packed their shit. We hiked 10 or so tense minutes in tight formation to a trail very close by. I had no idea it was there. Followed the trail back to their Pathfinder. They all jump in, I'm stuck standing there. Remember my mission, why I came there. Look down at the rifle, 3 rounds left. Remember the bullet in my boot, 4 rounds left. The fuck are you doing standing there, Anon? Get in the car. Anon, get in. Sorry guys, I have unfinished business. Start to walk back down the trail, back into the woods. Feel the crunch of snow beneath my boots, the rays of sunlight shining down. Suddenly, darkness. Got knocked out and thrown into the Pathfinder. They hauled ass out, swear they saw something big step out from behind a tree and watched them drive away. We all agreed never to talk about it again for some reason. Never went back to my car. It was a piece of shit anyways.
Got a slightly spooky story. About 10 years ago, back from walking the dog, smallish mutt, has its own kennel, but screw it, it's cold outside, I'm letting it in. Just as I take off my shoes, the dog starts growling. What's the matter, buddy? Dog starts barking at a particular spot in the air in the middle of the room. At first I'm thinking it's heard something outside, Then the dog starts attacking the air as if trying to bite something invisible. It circles around the spot and barks. A few seconds pass and it doesn't stop. The dog gets more agitated, teeth bared, growling and barking, suddenly starts moving while circling. It's as if whatever he was barking at started moving towards the door. I'm just surprised and kind of spooked, though nothing looks or feels out of the ordinary. Dog follows the invisible spot through a corridor to the main door, barks at the door for a good few minutes, finally calms down, comes to me and whimpers a bit. Nothing else happens that day. It was the only time such thing happened. Have you ever had your pet behave that way? I'm trying to explain it rationally that the dog must have heard something outside, maybe a dog whistle, but it's hard to explain why it would try biting empty air.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check out the Odyssey page in the description for a second archive of the channel's videos.
There's also a Rumble archive as a backup.